Skyrim is almost 15 years old at this point, and after spending hundreds if not thousands of hours exploring every corner of its world, I wanted to put together a list of just 10 mods that will not only enhance your gameplay, but make Skyrim feel fresh and brand new again. These mods will cover all gameplay elements, from exploration to combat, loot, and character progression. So let's dive right in and start with the mod called Dungeons Revisited, which will completely overhaul 8 of the most popular dungeons throughout the world. If you've played Skyrim a dozen times, you will often know the exact layout of each dungeon like it's the back of your hand. Well, this mod changes that, not only doubling the size of each dungeon, but also adding new enemies and puzzles for you to encounter. For example, Embershard Mine is a relatively small bandit camp with a fairly linear layout, but now you'll find multiple pathways leading to new areas with new things to discover, or the classic Bleak Falls Barrow, which turns into a labyrinth of tunnels that I legitimately got lost the first time trying out this mod. What this does is it makes exploring Skyrim feel new and exciting again, as you no longer know what's going to be around each corner or through each door. Another fantastic dungeon mod is the one called Arena and Encounter Zone Overhaul. This mod changes the rules on how an encounter zone becomes populated with enemies. An encounter zone is essentially a dungeon. For example, Bleak Falls Barrow, this dungeon becomes populated with enemies depending on your character level. These enemies can range between easy and very hard, an easy enemy being a normal Draugr, and a hard enemy being a Draugr Scourge or Deathlord. What this mod does is it increases the level of the enemies you encounter to be closer to your own level. For example, if my character was level 8, a Draugr in vanilla Skyrim would be around level 4, but with this mod, it's now level 6. It also makes hard and very hard enemies higher level than your own. For example, when I encounter this boss at level 23, the boss is actually level 34. This mod also removes the maximum level limit and changes the minimum levels of a certain enemy type, so bandits and Draugr are on the lower scale, good for early game progression, and enemies like the Falmer or vampires will be more of a challenge and may require you to be a higher level. This does make the game more challenging, but also provides a better sense of progression. As you level up, so does the world and enemies around you, so the game never feels too easy. Loot is another important aspect of a game like Skyrim, and for this we have the mod called Dynamic Dungeon Loot, which adds a loot system to the chest you find after a boss fight. Sometimes this chest would contain very little, but now with this mod you are almost guaranteed to find at least one decent or even a unique item. The rarity of these items are split into 5 tiers, ranging from common to legendary, where the higher the rarity, the better the item. Of course, legendary items are much harder to find than common. You also have the small chance to find an exotic item that are very strong and have a unique effect, such as the Shield of Mending that heals you as you block, or the Helm of Instinct that detects life all around you. There are 16 of these artifacts to find and will make your gameplay much more fun and rewarding. In fact, this whole mod is designed to add more fun and variety to the items you loot after a hard fought boss encounter. Up next is the mod simply called Missives, which is all about questing. Adding a notice board to each of the 5 major cities, this mod allows you to sign up for a quest or 2 to complete. Each quest is fairly simple, ranging from bounty hunting to career jobs to contract killings or clearing out a dungeon. This mod gives you something to do in your downtime, as well as providing a fantastic way to make gold, gain experience, or just immerse yourself in the life of becoming a Skyrim citizen. Moving on to perks, and for this we will be using the all-time classic Ordinator Perks of Skyrim. This legendary mod overhauls every perk tree in the game, adding almost 500 new perks. The real highlight of this mod is the amount of depth and character building it enables, with a huge variety of options in almost every skill. It also adds very fun and unique perks, such as the Lion Arrow, which allows you to shoot a spell with your bow. On top of this, it adds completely new archetypes to certain skills that were a little boring in the vanilla game. For example, in the speech tree, there are now multiple perks that synergize with your dragon shouts, meaning you can make a fully viable shout build, because who needs a dragon when you can literally become the dragon yourself? So if you're looking for fun, this mod has it in spades and will single-handedly transform your Skyrim gameplay. Regarding magic, we have another fantastic mod called Mysticism and Magic Overhaul. Now this mod essentially kills two birds with one stone. Firstly, it adds almost 200 new lore-friendly spells to the game, ranging from simple support mods like being able to walk on water to powerful vampiric spells that allow you to absorb health, as well as greatly expanding the variety of conjurations available and adding more utility to the entire Restoration School of Magic. But it also makes several much needed changes to the vanilla magic system, such as one-handed master spells with reduced casting times so you can actually use them in combat, or allowing certain spells to benefit from dual casting like reanimation and illusion spells. All these changes and additions feel very balanced and are seamlessly brought into the world of Skyrim. Now before we move on, I just want to mention that the first 6 mods we just went over all have 0 requirements and can be installed just like that. But the next 4 mods do have a few requirements you will need to make them work properly. Saying that, let's take a look at the next mod called Enemy Evolution of Skyrim. So we have all these mods that make you the player stronger with new spells and perks. Well, this mod does the exact opposite, allowing enemies and NPCs to use these new spells, perks and shouts added by other mods, such as the previous Mysticism and Magic Overhaul. This is fantastic, not only making combat more dynamic and fun, but also creating more challenging encounters, as NPCs will now be able to cast much stronger and more surprising spells than you ever faced before. This works with many spell and perk mods, so if you want even more powerful NPCs, be sure to check out the list of supported mods. Up next, we have a relatively new mod, but also one of the best, called the Dragonborn's Bestiary. This mod implements a brilliant idea by introducing a compendium of all the animals and creatures you come across in your adventures of Skyrim. What this means is when you interact or kill a creature such as a chicken, it will get added to your bestiary. Once added, it will give you a short description as well as its strength and weaknesses and what loot you can obtain from said creature. There are also several add-ons which allow you to add certain characters and boss fights so you can easily keep track of all the unique enemies you have fought throughout your entire playthrough. This is a fantastic mod that compels you to go out exploring and find new entries to add to your bestiary. In fact, when I first installed it, I wanted to go out and discover every beast or creature I could, like I was trying to complete my very own Skyrim Pokédex. It also serves as a great resource, providing valuable information throughout your playthrough, and does all of this without interfering with your gameplay. You can simply interact with it whenever you want, a complete mod that's perfect for any mod list. Moving on to combat, the one mod that will reinvigorate Skyrim is called Valhalla Combat. This mod has 3 main features, starting with a new stamina system where your light attacks now cost stamina to perform. However, if your attack connects with its target, you will gain stamina instead. Your stamina regeneration rate is also significantly increased, which all makes combat more fast-paced, allowing you to chain light and power attacks together, but will penalize you if you miss. Also, if you do deplete all your stamina, you will enter a state of exhaustion, making you more vulnerable to attacks. Another main feature of this mod is timed blocking, allowing you to perform a timed or perfect block to stagger your opponent and replenish your stamina. When timed correctly, this can be very strong. You can also block projectiles, and if timed perfectly, deflect the projectile back at the sender, again making you very strong. The final feature of this mod is stun and execution, where every enemy has a stun meter that depletes as you attack, and when fully depleted, indicated by a flashing red bar, you can perform an execution to kill them instantly. While this might seem overpowered, it's actually fairly rare unless you are using a two-handed weapon such as a warhammer. There is also an MCM where you can edit all the settings of each feature to make it as easy or hard as you want, or completely disable them. Altogether, this mod redesigns how combat works for a more fast-paced and aggressive playstyle. And lastly, we have my favourite Skyrim mod called Experience, which is a complete gameplay overhaul centered around changing how your player gains experience and levels up. Instead of earning experience from using your skills, like in vanilla Skyrim, you gain experience by completing objectives such as completing a quest, clearing a dungeon, discovering new locations, or just killing enemies, which is scaled by their difficulty, so a basic enemy will give you 1 or 2 XP compared to a boss fight which might give you 15. This turns the leveling system into something more traditional, making your progression feel tied to what you do, rather than how much you spam a certain skill. It also provides better in-game pacing as you level with your overall progression instead of grinding out your skills, and promotes exploration for you to go out and see the world and actually play the game. I also highly recommend getting the Experience MCM mod, which then allows you to edit the values to whatever you want or completely disable them if you wish. And that's it. 10 mods focused on enhancing your Skyrim gameplay and turning it into a more modern RPG. Thank you for watching, I hope you enjoyed, and I will catch you again next time. Happy modding everyone.